Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off the 50-cent late pick 5 at Belmont Park on a star-studded Saturday afternoon. Race number 7 is the Grade 3 Westchester. We're going a mile and a 16th. Before we get to the analysis, please try out those DRF mobile pass performances. Get exclusive mobile interactive access anywhere, anytime on your phone with these classic PPs. Access full cards in seconds. This is a very fast download, great way to experience PPs on the go. Here's the field for the Grade 3 Westchester, and this race marks the seasonal debut of a very popular and talented horse. Code of Honor is back to the races, Mike, coming off the layoff. Code of Honor, of course, the winner of the Travers last year, placed first via disqualification in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, and he is way the horse to beat if he is ready off the layoff.
Yeah, that's really the only question. He probably is a little bit better than this field on his best day. The question is whether he's fully cranked up to win the Westchester when he certainly has, some bigger races down the line I'm sure he's pointing to.
We throw up the Timeform US pace projector for the Westchester. Red bar scenario, Timeform US believes this race will have a fast pace. You've got the 2 Monongahela. You've got the 4 Pain. These horses expected to be up close to the pace. Jovia, the 6, an outsider, can be close as well. I think the pace would be solid. That would be good for Code of Honor.
It certainly would. I mean, I would argue that if the number 4 Pain is up there on the lead, that the pace is not going to be that fast, but I guess we'll see what happens.
The number 1 endorsed in here is a horse that's always hinted at a great amount of ability. He had his share of niggling injuries that cost him some time, but it looks like he's back in form right now. Here was his first race for Bill Mott at Oaklawn, and I thought this was just a great confidence builder and a way to kick off what could become a big season. You see him kicking 4 wide on the outside, and he beats a decent field of optional claiming horses. This is a horse, again, he's stakes placed at Saratoga going a mile and an eighth. This race a 2-turn mile and a 16th, and he dug down to win it. He's always had a lot of ability, and I like him at the 1-turn mile and a 16th.
Yeah, I think I do too, Dan. I mean, he's obviously got something to find if he's going to beat this field, but I think it's in there for him. I thought his Travers last summer, even though he was really no factor in that race, I thought that was a deceptively good effort. Last time, I just really liked that performance from him. I know that it wasn't against this kind of a field, but he carried all the ground in there. I mean, he was wide every step of the way. I thought that was a really nice win for him, and I like him going a little bit shorter, at least for now. I think this horse still has a lot of upside.
The number 2 is Monongahela, and this horse just missed last time out in the John B. Campbell. We'll take a look at that race right now. This is a race where they kind of just ran 1-2 all the way around the track, always mining the favorite. Always Mining was the third choice. Monongahela, you see, he's going to battle Always Mining. It looked like he had this race won, did Monongahela on the outside. He gives it up late. This was a horse early in his career, Mike. He was a bit of a bridesmaid. He turned it around and became a graded stakes winner last year. And he's now with Chad Brown. I just always remember Monongahela as kind of the old Monongahela and the horse that liked to finish second.
Yeah, that Monongahela, I don't know how old he is. We just saw his last race, and that's exactly what he did in there. A race he certainly could have won. And for whatever reason, he just didn't get there. I realize that he's got some big figures in his recent races. And he's got speed too. There are things to like about this horse as he switches to Chad Brown. He's just not my kind of horse, Dan.
Mijos was very briefly on the Triple Crown Trail. He won the Mucho Macho Man in his first start as a 3-year-old. He got back on the beam last time out at Gulfstream, going 7 furlongs. Let's watch Mijos' race. I thought he just got a great setup this day. This pace was really fast. Mijos has now already taken it over for mid-pack, and he goes on his way. This is a professional, solid performance. He's likely going to have to do better here.
Yeah, I think he is too. Listen, I've been a fan of this horse from day one. I still think he's pretty good. I do think that there's a chance that he could win a stakes race somewhere down the line this year. But I also feel like he's just a better sprinter, Dan. I know the 1-turn mile and a 16th may work for him. I think he's better sprinting.
Chad Brown has taken his time with Pain, and it appears that patience has paid off. He's won his last 3 races, including this performance, his seasonal debut on March the 13th, going a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct. And he basically destroyed this field. He got right up close to the pace. He took over at will, and Payne is off to the races. He wins with a 99 Beyer speed figure, and you could argue he's lightly raced enough that there's still some upside.
Yeah, I think that there might be. I mean, this is another horse that I've really liked from the beginning, Dan. To me, he's looked like a stakes horse for a long time, and he hasn't managed to run in one yet. This race that we're watching, he won this race as easy as could be. It's not a great field. But he did what he was supposed to do when he ran fast. He's won 3 starts in a row. He actually ran a really good second at Saratoga last summer behind Performer, who we're going to see in the Carter in a few minutes. I mean, there's just a lot to like about this horse. He is stepping way up in class here, but he's doing it at the right time.
And I also think he's tactical. Timeform US has him up close to the pace. I'm not really sure that's where Kendrick Carmouche is going to want to have him. If a horse like Jovi or Monongahela wants to go, what's wrong with sitting third outside of those horses and try to get the jump on a horse off a layoff like Code of Honor? I think Payne might be a little bit more patiently ridden this time around. Prendemi is the number 5. Second last time out in the Maryland Million Classic, going 1 1/8. Let's watch that race. He was a nice price at 11-1. He showed good speed in here. He set a rated pace. The Maryland Million Classics come back okay. Couple of next out winners, one of them winning with a 93 Beyer speed figure. But this is a big step up in class.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, he's run pretty well in each of his last 2 starts, Dan, but he is stepping way up. He's doing it off of a long layoff, and he's too slow to beat this field.
Jovia, perhaps best known for being third in the Belmont Stakes last year after getting a really nice ride from Jose Lezcano and riding the gold rail all the way throughout. He came back with a seasonal debut sprint win. It looked like Jovia was going to have a good 4-year-old campaign. Well, now Jovia, it looks like the wheels have fallen off. His last 2 races, he has finished ahead of a total of 0 horses.
Yeah, has not run well in either of those races. You know, I can't take him in this race. I just feel like he's in too tough, and especially off of those last 2. I know that he was third in the Belmont, but I still think this horse, I think his future lies sprinting.
Senior Investment. It's nice to see this old timer getting back into his good form. A lot of folks forgot he was third in the Cloud Computing Preakness back in 2017. Well, Scott Lake's gotten him good. He's won 3 in a row. Let's watch the Harrison Johnson Memorial last time out at Laurel. Now, he got a great situation here. He was able to get to the front, and look at these fractions. 50-4, 115 for 3/4 of a mile. Senior Investment is supposed to sprint on home, and he does so nicely. This was an okay field he beat. He is versatile enough, Mike, that he can actually take advantage of a faster pace and sit off of it, but he has had candy trips in his last couple.
I mean, it's true. We'll see what happens. He's going to be a good price in this race. And so I have, really nothing bad to say about him. He's in really good form right now. He's got figures that I think put him close in here anyway if Code of Honor doesn't show up with his good race. So if you like him, I think you're supposed to bet him. I'm just looking elsewhere.
Forewarned was one of those horses that were probably compromised by the pace in the Harrison Johnson. He tried to come from last at the half-mile pole, and you saw those fractions. There was nobody making up any ground. I think the question with a horse like Forewarned is really, how good is he? His best race thus far recently has been a win against fellow Ohio breds at Mahoning Valley.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they've gotten very ambitious with this horse, and he's run, some decent races considering, the spots that they've put him in. I just feel like that makes him a pretty hard read in here. Listen, he's won 7 times. He's certainly an okay horse. I just don't like him in races like this.
Code of Honor is the moto horse to beat, winner of the Travers, placed first in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I won't hold the Breeders' Cup Classic against him. A lot of horses just didn't seem to handle that track that weekend. He's handled a 1 turn at Belmont very, very nicely in the past. I think this year the Westchester at 1 1/16 works to his advantage. The one thing that sticks in my craw is his seasonal debut last year was one of his worst races. It was the Mucho Macho Man. Now, maybe he didn't have the best trip in that race, but he really underperformed at a short price. And I wonder if Shug has him really cranked up for this race.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll see what happens off the layoff here. I think, what you're pointing to there too, maybe is laid out a little bit just in the way he's been working him, Dan. It doesn't feel like Shug has really gotten to the bottom of him. He hasn't worked him too hard. There's nothing beyond a half mile on his workout tab. I just wonder if he's using this race to point for something else. Maybe it won't matter. Obviously, I mean, he's been good right from the start, but he was getting really good in the second half of his 3-year-old campaign. If he comes back and runs his best race, he's just going to win this race. But I'm just going to take a small shot against him.
Wait for it tried a wide bid against Senior Investment last time out, but tired pretty badly in the stretch. Maybe the 1 1/8 was a little bit too far. This distance, 1 1/16, is very good for him, but Senior Investment has his number, Monongahela has his number, and now he's got to face horses like Code of Honor and Endorsed.
Right. I mean, he's got something to make up, it seems like, on those two horses, and they're not the horses to beat in here.
And Backside of the Moon is a nice, cool horse. He's been banging around for a long time. Third in the Stymie last time out. We'll take a look at that race. It was the usual Backside of the Moon performance. A good, rock-solid effort. He's the number 7, angling to the outside in the White Silks. He'll get up for third behind Diamond King and American Anthem. 2 okay horses. I just didn't like the Stymie this year as a race, and this is a big step up in class for a horse that's surprisingly 0 for 13 at Belmont.
Yeah, that is surprising. Listen, he's been good for a long time. He's actually underrated, but he's never really been a graded stakes horse either.
We're going to take a look at our top picks for the Westchester. And Mike, you're going to go with Endorsed in here. I think he's a very fair price at 6-1. He's got all the upside. He also has the recency over Code of Honor. And again, the race that sticks in my mind with Code of Honor, who's obviously the horse to beat on paper. He didn't come back with his good seasonal debut last year. I'm very concerned about the layoff. Senior Investment is sharp right now. He has had good trips in his last 2 races, but he does have figs and he's going to be a good price. I want to give him a chance at a price. I'm going with Senior Investment. You're taking Endorsed.
Yeah, I mean, we're both going to take a shot against the favorite here. I feel like it's probably the right spot to do it in. And I've had high hopes for Endorsed for a while. I'm hoping that he takes a step forward here. I really like his last race.
1943 for Mike, 7241 for me. The grade 3 Westchester kicks off the 50 cent late pick 5. Approximate post time, 4:32 Eastern. Good luck.